Hello and welcome into NWSL Week 4 preview alongside Lianne Sanderson and Lindsey. I'm Lisa Roman. Before we get into Week 4 action, we saw the return of the Challenge Cup to the NWSL. It's the 4th edition. This year, though, the 2023 Challenge Cup presented by UKG has a much different format. Instead of being a preseason tournament, it's now running concurrently with the regular season. It's got a sponsorship in UKG, and there are a lot of moving parts. The group stages started this past week, and they will run all the way through August with the semifinal on September 6th and then the final on September 9th. A much different format this year, Lori, that we're seeing with the Challenge Cup. Now we're seeing teams that are playing 3 games in 8 days. What do you think of this new layout format that we have for the Challenge Cup in 2023?
I was going to say 8 games. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that's a lot of games.
Think about rotation. Listen, I like this. I think in the past it has been before the season started that posed its challenges. No doubt this pose its challenges as well to what you were just saying, 3 games in a week's time, maybe 8 days. So there does require rotation in squad, but I think this is something that we have been asking for. More competitions, more money on the line. So it adds that incentive to get results, get wins. And I think as you see this league evolve, as you see the global game evolve, you want these types of competitions, especially as it opens up potentially to more of like maybe an open cup, right? Mm-hmm. So to have the rotation, the ability, I think it asks questions of coaches to rotate, look at things tactically, ask questions of players in a different way than just regular season play. So I find that incredibly interesting. And we saw last night that there is rotation of players. And when you look at expansion in this league, players not only competing for minutes right now, but also looking for competing for minutes and potential movement in different teams later on next year, then I always think that it asks and poses some interesting questions on what things look like going forward. So I'm in favor of it. But first and foremost, obviously, you want the players to be safe and make sure that there's enough time between games and you have the depth in your roster to be able to rotate players.
And it adds another trophy on the line. And in addition to the Shield, winning the regular season, winning the championship, you can now win the Challenge Cup. And with that win this year, UKG, the sponsorship of the Challenge Cup, has doubled their prize money. $1 million. Lori, $1 million. Lianne, how, as a player, knowing that there is that giant chunk of money on the line, the top 4 teams that make the semifinal, there will be a payout for them with $1 million. How much incentive does that give you as a player?
I can't not think about the $1 million and think about Dr. Evil saying $1 million. But I mean, I think I might come out of retirement.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking so too.
All jokes aside, though, I think it's incredible. And I agree with what Laurie said. These types of competitions, from a player's perspective, yes, there's a duty of care and the well-being and the amount of games. I know some of the coaches weren't happy the fact that it came straight off the international break. I think they were obviously questioning that, but I think it can work hand in hand. I think you can give some teams confidence. I think some players that need minutes will get to play, as we've seen, but then some teams don't have the luxury of being able to rotate because they don't have the squad depth and they have injuries. But I don't think necessarily it's an incentive that it's $1 million, but it sure sounds good, doesn't it? And I think it will give everybody a lift. And that's where the game is at, and that's where it needs to be at as well. So maybe we'll come out of retirement. Get $500,000 each, Laurie.
You heard it here, NWSL coaches. Start recruiting Lori and Lianne. They're ready to play again. I mean, we even saw that last year with the payout, $10,000 for the champions. And to some of these players, that's a crucial amount of money that can change their lives or change their situation in the current standing. Looking at the NWSL regular season, we are in week 4. We've got all 12 teams competing across the weekend. Games start Saturday afternoon and run all the way through Sunday. We've got some big matchups, a couple of undefeated teams going against each other, Washington Spirit and Houston Dash, Portland Thorns and Racing Louisville, all those teams undefeated so far in the league. But there's a number of competition to keep their eye on. Lori, for you, where are you taking us around the globe or around the country? What game are we watching with you?
Yeah, I'm going straight to Southern California for the SoCal rivalry. First of all, we do need a name, right? El Tráfico is perfect in MLS. We need some sort of name to incentivize this. But, for these 2 teams, for Angel City and San Diego Wave, this is a couple games that on your schedule, when it comes out, they're both circling this and saying this is a must-win game. And even though it's early days in these two expansion teams and infancy in this rivalry, it is through and through going to be a battle, I believe, being played at BMO Stadium in Los Angeles. And, the one thing I really am looking forward to about this rivalry and this game in particular is that these two teams in some ways have similar styles in the fact that they can play in transition, they can play in possession. That's going to be needed. I think the onus is on Angel City because they're playing at home in front of their what we expect to be a sold-out crowd. So I expect Casey Stoney's team to come in and pick and choose their times when they're going to be aggressive, but also I could see them at potentially sitting back in a low block. We know Casey Stoney, defensive-minded coach, locking things down, making it difficult for her team to be broken down. I could see them almost, setting up in a bit of a lower block to be able to open up space in behind for Alex Morgan, Jaden Shaw to be able to hit them in transition. And it's going to force Angel City to have to be patient sometimes in their buildup, patient in possession. But listen, we also have the return of Julie Ertz. So some veteran players. I said Alex Morgan, Julie Ertz coming back for the first time in almost 2 years.
What is it, like 2019?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's 20. When was it? I think 2021, right?
2021, yeah. But it feels like 2019 with all of these superstars playing on the pitch. And you two, you'll be back out there soon.
Right. Well, we'll be back out there because we're making our comeback for the Challenge Cup. And then you also add in the young players, right? Outside the veteran players, we can get more into Julie Ertz, but you have Alyssa Thompson, you have Jaden Shaw, who has been excellent to start this year for San Diego. So there's some similarities in that with veteran leadership, but some young players that I think can really show up in this game. And then to the point I mentioned about the tactical nuance, this sets this game up to be a Sunday showdown in SoCal.
I'm looking forward to this one, Laurie. I was going to choose this one, but you chose this one and I couldn't. But I think
you have to be quicker on your choices, Lianne.
I know. I'll blame the time difference on that one.
Fair.
But I think, you mentioned Alyssa Thompson. I think the fact that Alex Morgan was kind of rested in the Challenge Cup as well, I do think they desperately need her. I mean, her goal scoring, I mentioned it many times. I think she's taken it to another level. I think her leadership has been fantastic. But this is the game that a lot of the players are from California. Some of them from LA, playing for San Diego. So there's a lot of stuff on the line. They'll have their family there, their friends there. So it's going to be a super exciting game. I think it's come pretty early, week 4 in the season. We couldn't ask for a better timing than that.
For this Angel City side, Lori, as you mentioned, signing Julie Ertz. She's back in the NWSL. We haven't seen her hit the pitch yet in the NWSL. She was at the Wednesday Challenge Cup game, but she just did an interview. She wasn't laced up at all. Do you think we get to see her this weekend in the California Clash?
I do. I think we see, because it's, it's been the talk of why she's back. It's imminent that she plays. It's important that she gets games and minutes immediately. This isn't like, hey, I've signed. Now let me wait a couple of weeks before I lace up my boots. No, get her in. She even talked about it. She's about energy. And I think that's exact key, because a lot of times in these rivalries as well, it's really less about the nuance of tactics. It's about controlling the emotions, but also who has that emotion, who has that extra little fight to find those moments, take your chances. And I think Julie Ertz, if she's starting this game or she's coming off the bench, we're going to see that energy, that extra emotional uplift that this Angel City team has needed or will need, I think, in this type of game. And yeah, it'd be fun to see her back in the news.
I think they're really, really lucky that they've been able to sign a player like Julie Ertz. I know I put the question to Vlatko and put him on the spot a little bit with regards to picking her for the national team after 2 years. But I think her quality always shines through. I said it before. She's so difficult to play against. She talks a lot in your ear as a centre forward when she used to play in the back line. And I think she's just going to really help their core of their team and the spine of their team. You look at Savannah McCaskill, Alyssa Thompson in those positions. I feel like she's going to help them so much. And I think she'll play in this game, definitely. And I think she'll start because, as Laurie said, I don't think she's signed to just kind of wait or when's the perfect time. I mean, she's already up to the speed of play. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been picked for the national team. She's gone away, train with the team. And she's an integral part of that team when she is fit. And some players are special. There's going to be different rules, different strokes for different folks. And my dad likes to say, because there are some players that will feel a bit hard done by that she did get selected, but she's earned the right to a certain degree. Her name speaks for itself. And I think this signing for Angel City is massive. And I think they're really happy. The fans are. You can tell with the organisation, they're so delighted to have got that one over the line.
If the fans weren't going to show up for the California Clash, they're definitely showing up to potentially see Ertz get some minutes. This game happening in Los Angeles at BMO Stadium, Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Lianne, for you, since Lori took your game to watch, what's your runner-up game to watch? Another one fans can keep an eye out for.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's one that most people would probably raise a few eyebrows about, Orlando Pride versus the Kansas City Current. But the reason why I chose these two teams is because neither of them have won in the league so far. Obviously, Kansas City Current are coming off a really good win against the Houston Dash. I know that Ebony Salmon and Adonias were on the bench, but it's a really good win. It really is. And I think those types of games, like in the Challenge Cup, can really help with confidence, a good and a bad. I thought Orlando Pride looked the best they've looked all season in that game. And obviously Denise O'Sullivan stepped up and does what Denise O'Sullivan does, scored an absolute banger in the last minute of the game. And I thought, but I felt like it was the best they played defensively. Orlando, they had Carly Nelson in the net. She was brilliant. I'm not quite sure where Anna Morehouse has gone because I was critical of her beginning of the season because I felt like she made quite a few bad mistakes, but we all do. Unfortunately, when you're a goalkeeper and you make mistakes, it goes in the back of the net. If I miss a shot, no one's going to remember that. They'll remember me as the hero because I'm a centre forward. So, but I think Seb Hines, you could see what he's doing with this team. I'm a big fan of Messiah Bright. I think it comes down to decision making in the final third with the Orlando Pride. So most people might start thinking, well, why would you choose this team? Kansas City Current just lost their coach midweek as well. But I feel like both teams are still yet to get going. And you can see Cece Kaiser was fantastic in that game as well in the midweek. So confidence can be taken from the Challenge Cup, and Orlando Pride can also take confidence because they certainly looked more organized in the game.
Orlando coming off a 1-1 draw with North Carolina in the midweek, picking up their first points of the year, although it was in Challenge Cup. And same with Kansas City getting their first points, a 2-0 win over Houston Dash. And if Lianne was watching it at about 2 a.m. in England, that means they were good games and good action to watch. Lori, for you, between Angel City and San Diego, potentially we get to see Julie Ertz, but who else on the field is someone that you're watching?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I do believe in these types of games, it's about emotion. It's about has that extra fight on that day and a little bit less about the tactics. And while I say that, I still think that the onus is going to be on Angel City playing at home in front of their home crowd. It is about getting a result for them. And within that, there is going to be a tactical nuance. There is going to be adjustments that you need to make. And that's why my player is June Endo, because I think when she's playing well, this Angel City team is playing well. She adds a different element. She can cut inside if she's playing on the wing. Her understanding of space, when to pick up the ball. We even saw that the goal was called back, but her ability in that first game against Gotham to pick up the ball at the right moment and then to chip the goalkeeper from distance, speaks to itself, right? She's brilliant on the ball and her understanding of space. And I think potentially with this San Diego team sitting back a bit at times, they're going to need her understanding of when to keep possession, when to speed up the tempo, when to slow things down. So she is certainly my player to watch.
I love watching June Endo play. She's so shifty on the ball. And now I'm imagining the Angel City midfield with Savannah McCaskill, June Endo, Julie Ertz in there. This Angel City side, they're getting stacked down the spine for sure. Lianne, when you look at Orlando and Kansas City, both teams, 3 losses in 3 games, they're looking to pick up their first point. Which players are yours to watch that can help their sides pick up points?
So 2 players for me within this game, and I think a lot of them can take confidence from each other. Both teams will feel like this is probably the first time they could get some points on the table within this. So I've gone for Cece Kaiser and Messiah Bright for Orlando Pride. Then I'll give my reason for those. I really like Messiah Bright. I think in the game when she had to come on after like 15, 20 minutes when Doyle, unfortunately enough for that injury, she came into the game, she got a goal, but she looked bright. She stretches the field of play. She's got a really good soccer brain. And I think she's almost played herself into that role because I don't think that she would have been a main starter within this team for Seb Hines. So she's a player that I really enjoy watching. I think she's smart with her movement as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing her. I think Cece Kaiser obviously getting the goals midweek, one maybe taken away. We'll have to wait to see, but she was brilliant. She looked so good. And I think sometimes, with the coach being fired on the day of the game, it can sometimes bring the players closer together. Whether they agree with it or not, that's not the point. It's about sometimes you can really think we have to stick together here, guys. And you can kind of see that within their performance. You can see it within the game against the Houston Dash. And we know what CC Kaiser can do. She did it last year. But I think it was the first game where they all kind of clicked. And obviously with this team, we talk about Lola Bonta a lot. We talk about Dabinia, those types of players. But there are other players like CC Kaiser that is probably able to get more space because people are occupying those types of players. So, and I think, with this Orlando team, I've been critical of their defense, but I want to give a special mention to Madrill because I thought she was really good midweek as well. And hopefully they can take confidence from that.
The two rookies bookending it for Orlando Pride with Messiah Bright in the front line and Emily Madrill in the back line. They have been fantastic. And on the other side, as you mentioned, CC Kaiser for Kansas City. She got the first goal of the Challenge Cup. She got the win for Kansas City. But now can that translate over from the midweek into the weekend in NWSL Week 4? A lot of questions, a lot of games, and a lot of players to watch and be observed this weekend. Lori, Lianne, thank you so much. Be sure to watch all NWSL matches across the games this weekend between Saturday and Sunday. You can catch all of them on CBS Sports soccer platforms.